All right, let's talk about something we all have in our kitchens, something that sparks a pretty big debate: sugar versus jaggery. It's a classic showdown, right? Today, we're going to dive deep and figure out what's what in this sweet showdown. So let's just get right to it. The main question on everyone's mind: when you're standing there about to sweeten your coffee or your favorite dessert, which one of these is actually the smarter choice for your body? Is one really healthier than the other? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. You might be surprised to know that both sugar and jaggery come from the exact same plant, sugarcane. So, if they start out from the same place, what on earth happens that makes them so incredibly different by the time they get to us? Let's figure that out. It really all boils down to one thing: how they're made. They might share the same source, but they take two completely different paths to get to your kitchen. And that journey, the processing, is the key to understanding, well, everything. Okay, so let's break down these two really important words. When we talk about sugar being refined, it means it goes through this intense, heavy-duty process that strips away pretty much everything except for the pure, sweet stuff, which is sucrose. Jaggery, on the other hand, is unrefined. It's barely processed, which means it gets to hold on to a lot more of the natural nutrients from the sugarcane plant itself. And you can literally see the difference that processing makes. On the one hand, you've got sugar in all its refined forms. The familiar granulated stuff, fancy icing sugar, even those perfect little sugar cubes. And on the other side, you have jaggery, which looks way more rustic and natural, whether it's in a solid block or kind of a soft pasty form. All right, time for the main event. We know where they come from, we know how they're made. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. It's time for the nutritional face-off to see what we're really putting in our bodies. And this is the question that truly matters, right? I mean, yeah, they both make things taste amazing. But beyond just the sweetness, what else are they bringing to the party? Are they actually offering our bodies anything useful? And whoa, the answer is right here in black and white. Okay, so they both start as carbohydrates, they both give us energy, but that's where the similarities just stop. Look at this. When it comes to iron, sugar has practically none, but jaggery actually contains some. Same thing for calcium. And vitamins, sugar has zero. Jaggery, well, it still has some left over from the plant. The difference is just, wow, it's pretty stark. So, looking at the facts, the verdict is kind of obvious, isn't it? Because it's unrefined, because it holds on to those extra minerals and vitamins, jaggery is, without a doubt, more nutritious than your standard white sugar. Okay, so jaggery has the nutritional win. But how does this all play out in our day-to-day lives? Let's get real about the uses and the abuses. We need to talk about the well-known risks of sugar and what happens when we have too much of a sweet thing. I mean, think about it. Sugar is absolutely everywhere. It's in our morning coffee, it's in our favorite desserts, candies, you name it. But here's a cool fact. It's not just for sweetness. It's also a preservative, which is why it's a super important ingredient in things like jams and jellies. But for all that sweetness, there's definitely a flip side. It's time we faced the bitter truth about what happens when our sugar cravings get a little out of control. And the dangers of too much sugar are very real, because sugar is what we call empty calories. You get a burst of energy, but literally zero other nutrients. It can easily lead to weight gain. We all know it's terrible for our teeth. Plus, it can fill you up without actually nourishing you, which means you might not eat the healthy foods your body actually needs. So, we've looked at how they're made, what's inside them, and the risks involved. After all of that, what's the final verdict? Let's wrap this all up with some key takeaways you can actually use to make a smarter, healthier choice. So here's how we can think about it. First, just accept that sugar is basically a quick hit of energy, and that's it. Second, recognize that jaggery does bring a little more to the table, with nutrients like iron and calcium. Third, and this is so important, understand that too much of any kind of added sweetener isn't great for you. Which brings us to the main point. The real key isn't just about swapping one for the other. It's about being mindful and using all sweeteners wisely. And that's really what it all comes down to, right? The goal isn't to get rid of all the sweetness in life, but just to be smarter about it. Because making mindful choices about what you eat isn't about restriction. It's about taking control of your health. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.